All right, kiddos, we are going to, well, I am going to briefly show you a video kind of recapping the things that we've done with our fish sculptures so far, and then going over, excuse me, next steps for what you guys need to be doing. Hopefully this will get posted up on YouTube, so you guys can go ahead and start playing with it. The video can be paused. You guys can go over it again. Make sure you raise your hand and are respectful. So we're going to start at the beginning really quick. And I have this very long wire. You guys have been exposed to this. I have shown this to you. For the basic parts of the fish, we are going to start with our spine. This is going to be the top of the fish and the bottom of the fish. Now, you can do this fish in any size you want. You can make them a really long fish. You can make them a really fat fish. You can make them kind of weird. Any case thereof. But ultimately, that's your choice. You guys have seen the small samples that I've already done in class, and I've got the larger sample with a little bit of tissue paper on it up by the skeletons by my desk. You may not touch, you may look. But long story short, you guys are going to create the fish, and you're going to start with the spine and the belly. And what you need to do first is determine how big your tail needs to be. How big do you want the tail of your fish? So you need to arrange for that. I'm looking mostly at the tail, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock both of these together. And we do this with a twist. So I'm holding them in opposite directions. I have one hand above, one hand below, and then twist the fish. And then we're going to do it again. One hand above, one hand below, twist the fish. You need at least 2 full twists to lock it. Okay? At this stage, you get to determine if you're making a fish or if you're making a mammal. If you're making a mammal, you need another little quarter turn because the tail needs to go in the opposite direction. I'm going to do a fish. Why? Because it visually looks right. At this stage, you start kind of giving him his rough shape. Please understand, this wire is very flexible. It's very easy to move around. It's very easy to manipulate, which means it is also very easy for it to get screwed up when you shape it one way, and then you move something, and the shape is not what you wanted. So, yes, you're going to have to go back a couple of times and fix things. You're going to have to adjust. No, it's fine. The world's not going to end, y'all. Chill. Okay, so determine the shape of your fish, manipulate it to about the shape you want it to be. At this stage, you will need a rib. Now the ribs, I've got 2 wires up here. I have the long wire, which most of you already have, and I have the shorter wire. The shorter wire is meant to turn into a rib. You need 3 of them. Okay, the ribs, on my little dolphin dude over here that we did earlier that I'm not anywhere near done with, the ribs are meant to go in the opposing direction. So we have the side of the fish, in this case a dolphin, but we also need to show how wide that fish is, and these ribs are about determining that, okay? So we're going to create a series of ribs. You should have about 3. So here's my little cartoon shark, or at least what will turn into a cartoon shark. This one's a little bit more complex because I did this mouth structure. So I have a big one in the middle. I would put another one here. Then I would probably put 1 to 2 smaller ones here around his muzzle, to flesh that out a little bit more, to give me my width for that. And I don't think I'm going to need one here, but I will have to make an adjustment to the cross wire, which is coming up soon. All right, so to do the ribs, take one end, go roughly in the middle. You do not have to measure this, y'all, honestly. Give yourself a little bit of slack, and you are just going to hold that in place and twist the smaller end around. Twisty, 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 twisty. Okay, twist it around. Now you see what it did to my body shape? It kind of screwed it up a little bit. That's fine. Just adjust it. Come around here. We're going to take this wire, we're going to wrap it outside. And now we're going to look at it from the front. That is a really wide fish, so I'm going to adjust. Okay, I'm going to hold it down here at the bottom. I'm going to figure out how wide I want my fish. If I want it to be narrower at the bottom or fatter on the bottom, I can make all of those changes. Okay, this is where I want my fish to be. I don't want him to be too fat, don't want him to be too skinny. I am going to hold this wire here, and then I'm going to link what's left and manipulate it a little bit up to up top until it feels like it's about the same size left and right. Does not have to be perfect. Just like before, I'm going to hold that in place, and then I'm going to twist that extra little bit around. Now, if you have a longer, narrower fish and your ribs don't need to be quite so big, you may have some excess wire. You can actually aim those up to turn into the dorsal fin that goes on the back of the fishy. Okay? Now, this area down here is still really loose. So what you are going to need at this point is you are going to need 2 small, small pieces of tape. By small, and I can get it off the ring. Hold on. It tore. Oh no. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Small. Not even the length of my finger. Not even the length of my finger. Small piece of tape. Yoink. Let's get another one while we're at it. Small piece of tape. Not even the length of my finger. Yoink. And we're doing 2. And the reason we're doing 2 is we're going to make an X. We are going to do this right here. We're going to have an X that goes across this and an X that goes across this. So let's go right here. I'm going to take that tape. I'm going to put it apart so that it crosses both of these planes. So I've got the back here and I've got this piece here. Those. Okay? I know it's sometimes a little bit hard to see because you can see all the way through the fish and the ones on the bottom are kind of interfering. But we're going to put that on here. Make sure that I'm still even left to right and change things up if I need to. This is the time you get to adjust because once you commit this masking tape in here, we're going to have a problem. So push it in. Make sure it's steady. You take this end and tuck it in. Yes, you are going to have to fiddle with it a little bit, okay? I am good at this, and I am still messing around to get this where I want it to be. That's okay. All right? Now, we went this way first. We're going to take this other piece and go in the opposite direction, making an X. This is just extra security. Get that? Extra with an X. I'm not apologizing for that. We're going to put that in here. We're going to wrap this all the way around, and we're going to kind of squeeze that together. You want it to be as tight and neat as possible. While we are at it, we're going to secure the ends of the rib. Okay? Not with that, with tape. Sorry, I got distracted by something. But we're going to pull this over here and take a small piece of tape, and we're just going to kind of mummify this over here. Why? Because these little sharp ends of the wire right here are going to tear up our tissue paper when we get that far. You want it to be tight. You want it to go over that area and just kind of secure that in place. It's not going to stop it from being a little bit pokey, so please still be careful when you're playing with the wire. But it is going to stop it from being obnoxiously painful. Okay? Do the same thing on both sides and wrap it, wrap it, wrap it. Okay? So we end up with both sides of the fish. And there we go. Now you guys need to end up with at least probably 3 ribs. It provides structural stability, gives you what you need as far as holding it together, and all that fun stuff. After that, you will need to grab another long wire, okay? And you are going to find the halfway. Hold the 2 sides together. Let me move him out of the way so you can see. Hold the 2 sides together and just kind of tug it a little bit to find about the middle, okay? We are going to take that middle, and just like we did before, we are going to hold that bad boy in place. Now, to make our lives a little bit easier, because you see how fast that fell apart, it fell apart. All right, vibes, go. We're going to grab a little bit of masking tape, little bit of masking tape. Say it out loud, little bit. Don't actually, you're going to irritate everybody. We're going to do the exact same thing as we did to secure the ribs. So I'm going to hold this, and I'm going to make an X. So I'm going to go across. Oh, such a pain to hold. Just go with it. It's going to be annoying. It'll be fine. I know I'm off screen. Hold on. But we're going to put this over here. Yoink. And come around a little bit. Okay? It's not perfect. It's just holding it in place for right now while I do the other things that I need to do. Okay? So it's hanging out. And what we're going to do is we're going to wrap it around both sides. So I have this here. I am going to very securely hold this area once I'm happy with it. So say I wanted his nose to be a little bit fatter. I'll pull the wires out a little bit more to fatten up his face a bit where I want it to be. Okay? Give myself that material. And then I'm going to securely, you are going to have to hold this tight. Hold this in place. Take the end, loop it under and around, and you're going to need to manipulate that. So you're going to have to fiddle with it a bit to get a nice, tight loop around. Okay? This is not the end of that. This is just going to make that extra secure. At this point, masking tape. Little bit. 2 knuckles. A little bit of masking tape, and just like before, crisscross. I'm going to make an X. Okay, so I'm going to come over here. I'm going to squeeze that, go right there. Your goal is to make sure that all the little sticky bits, you can't feel them. Because if sticky bits get exposed to us a little bit, that's a tiny bit tinier than I was expecting it to be. Oops. Put that to the side. I might be able to find a way to use that later. No waste. Okay, put a little bit more over here. And we're going to go in the opposite direction of our original piece to make it extra secure. Okay, make sure you tie that up in here and squeeze these together. Once again, you're trying to make the sticky bits not sticky. When they are exposed to air, they become less sticky, which becomes a problem overall. So I'm checking periodically, rotating my critter around, making sure that everything is lined up the way I want it. This is the top of my fish. Okay, so far that's looking pretty cool. I like it. And I'm going to take the tail fin, once again, double check and see from the top if I need to add any width or anything like that. I like it where it is here. I'm going to wrap that bad boy around twice and let they dangle off the end. Now I've got more stuff to support that tail fin, which is going to be so neat. So neat. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. All right, so imagine, for time purposes, that I have 2 more ribs, one up here and one down there, to give me that extra roundness. It'll also give me more structural stability, and we will continue onward. So just like before, from the top down, you're going to try to manipulate and make sure how much material you need. You're going to very strongly and firmly hold it in place. You're going to take the end, weasel it back there behind it, and wrap it very tightly around. You need to pull it tight. Okay? Hold it in place. Yes, you are probably going to screw this up. Yes, you're going to have to rework it a little bit. No one's going to get hurt in the process. Chill the heck out. Okay? And just like before, we're going to secure it because it keeps wanting to wobble. We don't want it to wobble. We want it to be placed properly. Properly placed pectorals. That's not pectoral. Okay? Crisscross one way. Oops, twist a little bit. Gotta fix it. Crisscross the one way. Make sure all the sticky bits are covered. And then a little bit of tape. And crisscross the other way. It's like I have a pattern here, y'all. If you're paying attention, you ought to be able to move ahead to the next couple steps. Okay? Put that there. Check from the top that everything that you need is lined up and even the way you want it to be. All nice and pretty. Make sure it's pretty. You got me for pretty. Okay, from top down, that's pretty good. Secure it in place. I'm holding it tightly, and I'm going to twist. Okay, so now I have this epic tail fin going on, which I can cut these things down. You guys will wait for me. I will come and help you with that part of the process. But we have all this. Again, we're assuming that we have 3 total ribs. You need to have 3 total ribs. This is just a, well, this is just a demo piece, so just kind of showing you the techniques. Once you have all these things together, you can start on fins. So like we connected the ribs, pick a spot where you want it to start, securely tie it in place to the front. We're going to start right here with the dorsal fin and give it a shape. I actually want it to be a little bit more forward, kind of like he's got spiky hair. So let's have fun here. So pull it a little bit forward. You are in charge of this piece. It is not in charge of you. It is not in charge of you. So you have to tell it what shape you want it to be. I am old and have done this before. Okay? So you are going to have a little bit of effort that you have to put in. Now I'm wrapping this around the tail. That was my personal choice. If you need it to connect somewhere else, you are going to have to think about how that works and what you need to accomplish to do it. Okay? When we are closer to done, this whole tail area is going to get some masking tape as well. Okay? Well, we got that. Now, for the record, fish have lots of fins. Most of you know about this one. And most of you know about the little arm ones, the little pectorals up here. But there are also rectal fins. There's 2 that come off the back end, kind of like arms and legs. Arms and legs. So you'll need to figure out how to do those, usually tying them to the sides of the ribs. So like this piece right here would be a great place for an arm to be. So I will just do one really quick. And I will repeat this again. You will need to secure these joint areas with masking tape. Okay? Oh, I didn't tie that enough. I thought I did. It fell off. What am I going to do? I'm going to try again. Isn't that amazing? It's like, oh, no. Let's do it again. Again. Yes, every time until you get it right. Okay? So I want my dorsal or my pectoral fin to end up a little bit higher. This is a little bit further back for me. In full honesty, I would probably have it on this front rib up here, but I don't have a front rib right here, so I'm just kind of showing you off this one. And I would have, I'm going to look at my shape. I want my shape of my fin to be a certain way. So I kind of twist it into the position I want and secure it. Just like everything else, secure it in place. Now at this point, I've kind of forced this one a little bit, so some of my shapes have been a little bit screwballed, and that's okay. This wire is ridiculously flexible. You see, right here, I would probably cut this off, okay? But I have, from the top down, this really fat, cool-looking fin, and I can change its shape. I would do the exact same thing on the other side. And anytime you want to create things like this is what you're going to do. You can connect it to the ribs. You can connect it to these side pieces. Your goal by the end of the day is to have a fully constructed piece. Do not forget to have your little flag with your name. Okay? You need to have the wires done. When I come back, we will be doing this in tissue paper. Now here's the plot twist, something I want you to think about. From the top down, that looks pretty good for a fish fin. From the side, I've manipulated it into a slightly downward angle. You have to look at this. This is 3 dimensions, guys. You need to look at it from all angles and make sure that it's where you want it to be. Okay? So this guy will sit here. You guys know what you're supposed to be doing. The video can be replayed and slowed down as needed, and I will be back tomorrow to go over the rest of it. Be good.